Hello, and welcome to Conquering Finale. My name is Jason Lafredo, and this is a subscriber request. Today's request comes from Martin Nickless. Martin wants to know how to write big band drum parts that look like this, where you have slashes or one-bar repeats in the staff, but cues or maybe other things like a bass drum part or something, either above or below the slashes. It's a great question. It's not completely obvious how to do this in Finale, and it definitely requires multiple steps. Before I get into that, I just want to show you how you can submit a request for a video. First of all, you must be a subscriber, so click the subscribe button on YouTube or sign up for the mailing list by clicking this link on the website. Then, just send me an email here with your request. Lastly, if your request does make it to video, please consider a donation to the cause with whatever you can. It would be most appreciated. More details can be found following the link in the description below or directly on the subscriber request page of the website. If your request makes it to video, I'll give you a shout out. Now, let's take a look at Martin's big band drum parts. As I mentioned at the outset, there's a bunch of steps to this, so bear with me as I walk through all of this. You can see I've got my big band score set up here with some drums at the bottom. And we're going to start taking a look at this. So the first thing I want to look at is actually the drum set setup itself. And I'm going into areas of Finale I haven't really dealt with in the tutorial, so bear with me. Hopefully you can follow along. Going into the score manager here, we're going to select the drum set, and over where it says notation style percussion, we're going to click settings. And you'll see the drum set here. And incidentally, this is the default drum set that comes with Finale. So what you'll see is basically what I'm looking at. So let's edit this for a minute. And I just want to do this to kind of show you what's going on. You see all of your drum instruments on different lines of the staff over on the right here. What you may or may not know is at the bottom there's a rhythm cues line here, or rhythm cues instrument, or note type, I guess Finale calls it. And it exists on the B above what would be the treble clef staff. Now this is probably okay, but I actually prefer this to be a little bit higher, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to 15, which is going to actually put it on the D above the staff. I just think it's a slightly better result, and we'll go okay with that. Now we can actually write with that rhythm cues. I actually find it a little bit easier to do in simple entry. You can see that the rhythm cues exist there, and actually if you press the D key after the sounds load, you'll see that you can actually write rhythms like that all well and good. Now this could be kind of a slow way to do it, so I'm going to show you a couple neat tricks to do this. So you see I have this this sort of 2D trumpet section here, and basically what I want to do is cue this rhythm in the drum set part. So actually there's a couple ways we can do this. So the first thing is I'm going to do just copy the trumpet 1 part here and simply paste it into the drum set part. Now you get sort of a mess of a situation because the notes don't translate well to the percussion notes, although it actually puts it on something, an instrument for sure. But what we can do with this section now is in the utilities menu, there's a transpose percussion notes option that's available only on percussion lines. You can see the regular transpose is actually grayed out. So if we choose this, we get this utility here that will allow us to select each one of these and replace this note with this note. Now, it's only going to list the notes that are in the region that you've selected. So there's 5 different notes in this region, which is why you get 5 different notes in the region. And basically what we can do is come down here and change it to whatever we want. And that rhythm cues one is in the miscellaneous section, rhythm cues. Now, we kind of have to do this for each one. I kind of tried to find a way to do this all at once, but unfortunately, there is no way to do that. So you can see me do this individually here. Rhythm cues, and click OK, and you'll see that it will all get changed to that rhythm cue line, which I had put on the D, if you remember. Now, there's a slightly slicker way to do this, which I'm going to show you. Instead of copying directly into the drum set part, what I could do is copy this into an empty line here, just this trombone line here, and use the plugin in the Note Beam and Rest editing called Single Pitch. Now what this will do is change all of the pitches in this selection to one single pitch, and it doesn't matter which pitch, C4 is fine. And you'll see that now we have that rhythm all in one pitch. From here we can copy that and paste it into the drum set part. And really the only advantage to this is that now when you use that transposed percussion notes, you only have to deal with one thing in this little window. So we can go to miscellaneous, rhythm cues. Okay, and you can see we have that, and of course try to remember to delete that part that you created. All right, so now we've got the rhythm cues in here, but there's a lot of other things that we're going to want to do with this, including the slash notation underneath it, which I'll get to eventually, but there's even more steps to get to before that. The one thing you may want to do is remove the markings. This is up to you. You can leave them or not, but I would do clear selected items, choose none, select markings. Now, I could have done this with a copy and paste filter too, so that's another way to do that. You'll notice that the stems are all going down, which is going to get in the way of the slashes, so that's easy to fix. Just choose utilities, stem direction up. That will freeze them all upwards. A couple other things you may want to do. We could do change note size to 75%, and you'll see that those will become cue size. Now there's ledger lines here, which you probably don't want in a situation like this. So just go to plugins, note beam and rest editing, ledger lines hide, and you'll see that the ledger lines will now go away. And finally, one more thing is that you'll notice the rests all still appear in the staff as they normally would, but we need to move those out of the way of the slashes, which eventually will get put here. So again, we can use a plugin for this. Under Note Beam and Rest Editing, we're going to choose Move Rests. And we get this little utility that will allow us to move all the rests in the selection. You can choose to move either layer 1, 2, 3, 4 specifically, or all layers. Doesn't matter in this case because I only have one layer. Choose all layers. And now where it says Action Move Rests, positive numbers will go up, negative numbers will go down by a step. So in this case, I happen to know that 9 steps up is going to put these rests in line with this particular rhythm cue that happens to be on the D. Now this number 9 might be different depending on where you've placed those rhythm cues. So if you put it on the C, maybe 8 would be better. All right, but you can do whatever you want there. So now basically we have this this rhythm cue. It's basically a copy of the trumpet 1 rhythm, right? And it's all in that rhythm cue. Now we just need the slashes. Now we know, of course, if we go to the staff tool and press the S key to invoke the slash notation, we get the slash notation, but the notes go away. That's sort of by design. Finale wants to hide whatever's in these measures and cover it with the slash notation. However, in this case, we want both, so we're going to have to do something a little bit different. So let's just get rid of that slash notation first of all. What I need to do is actually create a new staff style. Although actually, let's go to Define Staff Styles, and let me just show you the slash notation staff style and what's going on here. So it's the alternate notation that we're really concerned with. So let's look at the settings. And you'll see that the slash notation is chosen. It's applying to layer 1. Now the bottom part is what's important. Where it says other layers, there's options to show notes, articulations, expressions, lyrics, and smart shapes, etc. Now with none of these checked, basically, you know, the alternate notation is putting the slashes over layer 1 and also not allowing any other notes or anything else to be shown. So that's why these slash notations will basically cover everything. I could have put those rhythm cues in layer 2, 3, or 4. It wouldn't matter. They would still get covered up with this particular staff style. So what I'm going to do is create a new staff style. I'm going to call it slash layer 4 only. Make it copyable, of course. And we're going to sort of set it up a little bit the same way as the regular slash notation. Check alternate notation, go to settings, we're going to choose slash notation, and instead of applying it to layer 1, I'm going to apply it to layer 4. All this is good. And then where it says other layers, we want to show everything else. So now only layer 4 notes are going to get covered by the slash notation. That's what's going on here. So anything in layer 1, 2, and 3 is going to be shown, right? So now that I have this new staff style set up, we're going to click OK. And of course, we have to apply it. So select that passage, apply staff style to score and parts. This is the new staff style, slash L4 only. And you can see that now we have these slashes and the rhythm notation on top of it, just like that. So that's, you know, the long and short of doing this. Now, as I mentioned, this new staff style will also show whatever's in layers 2, 3, and 4. So if I were to go to layer 2 here and enter a bass drum part. Oops, this is sort of the silly way to do this. Sorry. You'll see that we can actually show the layer 2 notes as well, right? And even layer 3, if I wanted to go to layer 3 and enter a crash symbol or something, we can do that as well. Oops, silly way to do that, sorry. So you can see that what's going on. We can show a lot of different things with this slash notation. However, anything in layer 4 would get covered up. That's the idea behind that. Now, of course, we could do this also with 1-bar repeat notation. So obviously, this is the slash layer 4 only. It doesn't matter if I choose 1-bar repeats here. I can do the same thing, apply it to layer 4, select all these options, and it would basically do the same thing. So you could have the, well, this says slash, but it's going to be 1-bar repeats instead. So you can set that up as well. All right. And then one more super tip. Let me just show you something real quick. This tip is actually kind of crazy, I think. So one thing you'll notice about these slashes is that they do get in the way of the bass drum part, and this is sort of somewhat of a common thing. I've done this before where I have this slash notation and then a bass drum part underneath it. And you can see they're just kind of butting up against each other, which doesn't look all that great. It would be better if these slashes were a little bit higher in the staff in this particular case. I wouldn't use it all the time, but sometimes it would be handy. So what I'm going to do is actually set up another staff style here, similar to it. I'm going to call it slash high L4 only. Okay. And alternate notation, settings, slash notation, again, apply to layer 4. So basically this is the same thing that I just did with that other one, but there's going to be one more thing that I'm going to change about this staff style in general, and that has to do with where it says appearance, and you'll see that it says staff, no change. But what I'm going to do is make a change, so I'm going to choose other. Now, this staff setup, we probably don't ever really need to go into this, but there's one really useful thing about this staff setup and how it relates to slash notation. And this is a tip buried deep into the bowels of Finale. So not many people know about this. Where it says stem reversal, this -4 value is telling Finale where the stem goes down versus up in this scenario, right? If you actually change this value, so if I make this -2 instead of -4, what you'll see is that the stem reversal position gets changed. Now, this is not what you would ever want to see in normal notation. You don't want to see the C go upwards. The stem for the C goes upwards, right? But if I use this for this very particular scenario, what's interesting is that not only does this stem reversal value affect where the stem reversal happens, it also affects where the slash notation gets placed. And how would you ever know that? There's no indication of this. There's nothing in the manual about this, sort of like a secret hidden aspect of this. So change this to -2. And now we've got a different appearance just for these staff style, right? Click OK. And now when I apply that staff style to this measure, slash high layer 4 only, what you'll see is that the slash notation gets a little bit higher. So that's pretty cool, right? So now I actually have two different types of slash notation that's layer 4 only. So you can actually see two different types of slashes depending on the scenario. Now, if that stem reversal number went the other way, we could make the slashes go lower. So instead of -2, remember -4 is the normal value. If I change this to -6, you'll see that the stem reversal would go lower, and then those slashes would actually get below that. So there's some flexibility with that. And of course, you can create as many of these staff styles as you want. So I could create another one that says slash low, layer 4 only. I could do the same thing with the 1-bar repeats. We can make those go a little bit higher or lower with the stem reversal as well. So really kind of a nifty little hidden feature there. All right, so I think that covers it. There's a lot you can do with this. Again, there's a lot of steps, and actually, I didn't really set it up, but once you get past the step of transposing the percussion notes so that they all go into the rhythm line here in the drum set. A lot of this other stuff can be automated with, Keyboard Maestro, for example. So you could set up a Keyboard Maestro that will flip the stems up, change the note size to 75%, move the rests, hide the ledger lines, and even maybe apply the staff style as well. But you would need a meta tool for the staff style. But it's you could set up a script like that, which would automate a lot of that. But I don't think there's a way to automate the process of transposing the percussion notes all to one line, because of the fact that when you copy from the trumpet line into the drum set part, there's a variable number of different instruments that need to be changed. But anyway, so you can automate some of that if you really want to. I just don't have it set up right now. But so I hope that helps. That's sort of the long process of setting up the big band drum parts with those cue lines like this with the slash notation underneath it. All right, so thanks, Martin, for sending in this request. This has been a great lesson, I think, for everyone, so I appreciate the email. And don't forget that you can also email me your request as well. So thanks a lot. My name is Jason Lafredo, and this has been a Conquering Finale subscriber request. If you enjoyed this video, please visit www.conqueringfinale.com to find full tutorials categorized by topic. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel here, follow me on Twitter here, email me here, or you can send me Morse code, telegraphs, or smoke signals. But please, no carrier pigeons.